Space City Con Galveston. The venue was beyond our expectations, and for the impressive lineup of stars, it made this correspondent very happy because of the guests from one of my favorite sci-fi TV series.
A shining beacon in space, all alone in the night.
Headlining the weekend was most of the cast of Babylon 5. I couldn't be happier than to meet and interview Bruce Boxleitner, Captain John Sheridan himself, and ask about his experiences on the show.
I came in on the second season. At the beginning of the second season, I replaced the original commander, Michael O'Hare, and I had some big shoes to fill. A lot of the fans, it had a rabid fan base already after one season, and I knew it was, they'd have to get used to me, and did everything I could to, make the best character I could, and worked with some incredible material, incredible actors, many of which are here, as you've talked to them. And it was a good show, great experience.
One of the best story arcs on the show was the love story between Sheridan and the Minbari ambassador Delenn. I asked Mira Furlan how she felt about the storyline.
It was a romantic, beautiful storyline, and I have to say, and Bruce will tell you the same thing. We all cried, and definitely Bruce and me were so moved and touched in this last episode that we shot, because we knew it was the end, but also because it was so beautifully written, very romantic.
Well, I thought it was a beautiful love story. First of all, it symbolically it was supposed to be between a human, myself, and a Minbari, and who was changing into more of a human to understand us, to bridge this divide between us, and I think we can, between the two races, and I think we can bring that into here on Earth in our real lives. That, think about biracial marriages, things like that. I mean, people are slowly coming together, and I think in a science fiction way, you can tell that story.
She also endured her own challenges on the show. In season 1, she was in full Minbari makeup. But she shares with us why the change came in season 2.
Tell us a little bit about the makeup challenge. I mean, in season 1, you were full Minbari.
Yeah.
And then tell us about the transformation. Was that something that you wanted, or was it something that was written into the show?
I wanted it, but it wouldn't have mattered if Joe Straczynski didn't think it was good for the show, and it was a part of the storyline and so on. It's a challenge. It's very hard. You lose your face. You deal with another face that is foreign to you. Not to mention all the physical aspects. I mean, I developed an allergy. My eyes were hurting. I mean, it's not easy.
Now, any starship captain is only as good as their executive officer. Kirk had Spock, Han had Chewie, and on Babylon 5, you couldn't ask for a better or better-looking commander than Susan Ivanova, played by Claudia Christian.
Look, somebody's got to have some damn perspective around here. Boom. Sooner or later. Boom!
She was very well written. Joe Straczynski is a brilliant writer, and she was multi-layered. She wasn't just tough. She wasn't just this, they didn't play it for the sex appeal or anything. She was confused in many ways. She had a very difficult time relating to people and opening up, and she was just a very complicated character, and I really enjoyed playing her. She was one of my favorite characters I've ever played. I love Susan Ivanova like she was a real person.
I asked her about the toughness of her character and how it seemed she never had a chance to relax, much less have time for personal relationships. Yet she did have love interests.
I had two big love stories. I had the story between the unrequited love with Jason Carter, and then the Marcus, and then the I believe the true love, Talia. So to have a character that was bisexual back in 1994 or 1995 without overt kissing or showing anything, with just very subtle. I think it was played incredibly subtly. I think Joe was very wise to do it that way, and I thought it was a beautiful love story because they hated each other, but they loved each other. And deep down, they had more in common than they thought. So you'd think that Ivanova wouldn't care for the telepaths at all, but this particular one really struck a chord in her. And I don't think there was ever any shock that it was a woman. She loved Marcus, she loved Talia. She just didn't know how to love.
As for her overall experiences acting in her first science fiction role,
it was a very different experience for me. I had never worked in science fiction before, briefly in a film called The Hidden, which was kind of cultish and a kind of sci-fi. But this was my first time having to do techno-babble and all that stuff that people always talk about.
Now, one of the beloved Babylon 5 characters had to be that of Vir Koto, played by Stephen Furst. You probably know him best as Flounder from Animal House, but did you know he was actually in a Chuck Norris movie?
It's one of my art films that I've done. My high art films. I did a Chuck Norris movie.
You're talking to me.
What was the name of the movie?
It was called Silent Rage.
The Unstoppable Killer.
Yes, you know that one.
Yes.
We love that movie.
Yes? I was the sheriff. I was the fat sheriff.
Stephen reminisced about landing his first major role on Animal House.
I was delivering pizzas in Los Angeles, and I got cast in a lead in a major movie from Universal. And I was living the dream. I had won the lottery. And so I went up there and I worked up until 3 days before I had to leave. I took a 3-day vacation between delivering pizzas and starring in a movie. And, I just had a great time.
So you literally had the dream. You had the Hollywood dream come true.
I did. I was born in Virginia, and I had just gotten married from college, and we packed. Our honeymoon was a U-Haul truck towing my Gremlin X behind it.
I asked him about his role on Babylon 5, and he shares what he felt Vir Koto was all about.
The way somebody put it one time is I was on his shoulder telling him to do the right thing. He didn't always listen, but I was like his Jiminy Cricket, on his shoulder telling him to try to do the right thing.
As to his whole experience of being an actor in general,
very rarely do you get to be on a show that the writing is so incredible. And I've had, like I said, I won the lottery twice on TV series because I was doing St. Elsewhere, which was so wonderful. It got like 10, 15 nominations, Emmy nominations a year. And then I got to do Babylon 5, which also was nominated for several Emmys, too.
Now, just like there is no Sheridan without Ivanova, neither can there be Vir without Londo Mollari. While Peter Jurassic politely denied a request for an interview, he did interview Vir as Londo, and it was hard to keep a straight face.
Hi, this is Londo Mollari interviewing Vir Koto about his work on Babylon 5. Vir, so I understand that you have worked on other things besides Babylon 5, yes?
No.
Yes?
No.
No?
I've devoted my life to Babylon 5, and when I'm not working, I put the uniform on. And
was it pleasurable, your work on Babylon 5? I mean, did you enjoy yourself in a fulfilling way?
I did. It was great, especially when we did our private rehearsals together.
May I check? Yes, he's a little excited.
Can you believe he does that on camera?
As you remember, the Centauri genitalia, there's 6 of them here. There's 6 of them.
That?
I just touched the top one. He's
right.
pretty jumpy, isn't he?
Yes.
And anything else about your experience?
Well, I was telling them that I was like your Jiminy Cricket on your shoulder.
Jiminy Cricket? I don't know about Jiminy Cricket.
What is that? What was the line about the thing that goes quack?
Yes, that's right. What was that thing?
I don't know.
The Earth expression, long bill. The long bill goes quack. You say cats. That's it, cats. Nibbled to death by cats. All right, that's it for the interview. That's it. Bye.
We're going to be on YouTube.
It was a pleasure to meet Maggie Egan. She played Jane, the main news anchor for the ISN network on Babylon 5. And while she was not always on, she was happy with the role and pointed out the key importance of it.
Thanks to Joe writing such great stuff for me, I not only did things like, the marriage of Delenn and Sheridan, but I also did almost a Walter Cronkite-esque moment. Remember when President Kennedy died? Everybody remembers that moment. Well, I had that moment with one of the presidents dying and getting to report that. But on top of just being like background or storyline, because I was the narrative. Let me catch the audience up on what's going on.
She tells me about one of her most memorable parts on the show and the secret she kept from the show's creator, Joe Michael Straczynski.
Our studio is being attacked, and beams are falling on me, and they are attacking, and the guy comes in and goes, Jane, stop that. I'm like, please don't. Anyway, I didn't tell them I was 4 months pregnant at the time because I really wanted the job to continue. And then I thought, well, that was nice. That was nice. I had a nice run on Babylon 5. And a year later, after my daughter was born, I got a call saying, they want you back. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm not dead?
I asked Maggie how she prepared for a role, and it seems she fell into the family business, so to speak.
It helps, I guess, that I have a sister who's a news reporter in New York City and then a news anchor in Albany, state capital of New York. Her daughter went into the business, and she's on air every morning in Boston. And my nephew, another sister's son, became a sportscaster. And my dad, when he was in the Aleutian Islands during World War II, he was a radio personality for the Army. So there must be something in the DNA that allows us to read the news really well or something. I don't know. So, I'm just saying that it probably didn't hurt.
Now to my favorite telepath on the show, none other than Lita Alexander herself, Patricia Tallman. She is quite the genre actress, having starred in many television shows, as well as movies and off-Broadway stage work. I asked her what helped her land the role of Lita.
I think one of the gifts Joe has is to take his actors and see things in them that will be a good fit for them. And in me, I think he saw empathy and my own inner conflicts. Plus, he had this storyline in mind, and it was very easy for me to assume the character, is what I'm trying to say. And I think he kind of did that with everybody.
And
Yeah.
He was able to bring that out of you.
He is, and he's able. He writes on a series and TV series. He's able to write for his actors as well, and kind of embraces what their skills and gifts are, along with his thoughts and storylines. So it's an exceptional skill.
Now, yours truly, being a horror fan that I am, I asked Miss Tallman about her work on a remake of Night of the Living Dead. Turns out she has a long history with George Romero, having worked on many of his other films.
A really fortunate experience. At first, I didn't know why George was redoing a cult classic, and then it turned out there was copyright issues. But he did this lovely thing of rewriting Barbara as a 1990s woman. So around the time Sigourney Weaver was coming out in Aliens, we came out with Night of the Living Dead, and I've always wanted to be a female heroine, and back in those days we didn't have them so much. Now it's commonplace, which is awesome, Now I want to be a 60-year-old heroine. I've got a ways to go, but I think we need older role models, don't you? I mean, have women like Sigourney Weaver still kicking ass, like she did in Avatar.
Now, to all our male viewers and fellow correspondents out there in GVTV land, let me share with you some words of advice. Better yet, just watch and learn.
You're still beautiful after all this time.
I hate it when men say that, you're still beautiful. I mean, what is that supposed to mean? Like, what, you're old but you're attractive or something like that? Or like people say, a guy said to me in a supermarket, I know you from TV, you're an actress. And I said, oh, yes. And he said the same thing. He said, you're still beautiful. And I thought, why can't you just say, you're beautiful? I mean, what do you mean you're still beautiful? What is that supposed to mean anyway? Like, wow, you're beautiful for an old broad, or for a middle-aged woman, you're okay. I mean, what is that supposed to mean?
She called me out, ladies and gentlemen of GVTV. She called me out, but having a lot of fun and stuff. This beautiful woman.
He's still cute.
Aww.
After all these years and the gray hair and the wrinkles and all that stuff.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it.